So if you haven't been here before, hello, my name is Erin. I'm a calligraphy based in Montreal, Quebec, and I go by Nielsen Letters. So yeah, I have been teaching a little bit of calligraphy to tunes in, and then I've been re-uploading the videos onto YouTube. So if anyone misses anything, you can watch there too. That's totally fine. So yeah, I am going to be. Oh, actually, have you even heard anything I've just said? I forgot my mic was way over here. Hi. Can you tell that sometimes I don't technology? I sometimes do technology well, and sometimes not so much. But yeah, so if you missed any of that, hello, hi, Erin, Nielsen Letters here, Montreal, Quebec, calligrapher, etc., etc. That was my little spiel. But yeah, so I'm going to be I'm doing lesson 9 out of 11. So I'm almost done my little streaming schedule to go through and teach some copperplate. Today we're going to be finishing off the majuscules. But before we do that, I'm going to just do some warm ups. I was doing some painting today because, I'm trying to improve some skills. Improve some skill sets that are not necessarily calligraphy, just so I can, having a little bit more art in my life is good and relaxing and all that. And it was a bit snowy this morning as well, so I was like, oh, it's a good day. It's a good day for some painting. Anyways, all that being said is that with the painting means not so calligraphy focused today. So I'm definitely gonna have to warm up a bit to make sure I can, work properly and not make a ton of mistakes for you guys if you're watching. So I'd like to try and give you my best work, which, sometimes it's 50-50, which I think sometimes is good though, to be totally honest. I'm just going to go on a little tangent. I think it's sometimes good though that you see that it's not always perfect all the time. And like, to be honest, like I'm not a perfect calligrapher either. I don't call myself a master calligrapher for a reason because I'm not. But like it's not always it's always the goal, right? But it's not always the case. It doesn't always happen like that. Anyway, so I am going to start by doing some warm ups. I just have my little pad of paper. If you saw the name of it, it's this guy. It's the one I usually use. Boop. My Canson XL marker paper. I think this is 9 by 12. Yeah, 9 by 12, 18 pound. It's like super good for things that have ink on them because it doesn't bleed or feather or whatever, and I don't have to worry about it so much. It's a little bit too much though. So take a chunk of that, and I'm using a Hunt 101 nib. With this is a handmade pen holder from Huang, who is an excellent pen maker. I have a couple of his pens, and they make me happy. I think I used this one last week. Hold on, where did I put it? In my pile. I think I used this one last week, which looks like the Elder Wand, which made me very happy. And the hand engraved flange is just another level of artistry that I don't have. I just don't have, and that's okay. You can't. It's just he's a crazy person with talent. Okay, so I am just gonna do some warm up exercises. Try and do good posture today. Which is always difficult. Something that I think that doesn't get talked about always enough is having good posture. Because I swear sometimes, like, it's not even necessarily my hand that gets sore. It's up in my shoulders because sometimes I'll crunch down. So I'm going to try really hard to have good posture. So I guess you can see kind of how I'm sitting. So I'm actually like kind of sideways when I'm going to be working. I ended up also switching my setup a little bit, and I was able to move my camera forward a bit, so I'm not reaching over so much. So I'll be able to see what I'm doing a little bit more. So I'm basically like the paper is almost like my body is like an angle like this from the paper, which will be good. It's good for my hand. Also, it means I can talk directly in the mic properly, and hopefully I won't hit it like I have been for the past couple of weeks. So this is also a new nib, but that doesn't mean that said new nib is good. So I'm going to try. Hopefully it's okay, but I feel it catching, which tells me that either the tines aren't aligned or one is bigger than the other, or when I put it in, I squeeze them together incorrectly. So let me swap it for another one where it is hopefully not so scratchy. So I'll put that one to the side. Let's go for another guy. Hopefully that is good. Wash that. Oh, there we go. That's smooth. Yeah, so basically what was happening is when I was going up, I don't know if the mic was picking up on the scratching, but it was definitely scratchy, which can just be frustrating. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so I will just make a little box for myself, just so I'm staying within a bound. And I am going to just slowly do some figure eights here of varying sizes so I can fill the box. And I'll zoom in a little. So because I'm on my desk that has my computer on it and stuff, I sometimes have to like move things out of the way. You should see the setup in here sometimes. It is honestly like it's not as bad as it has been, but sometimes I am glad the camera only picks up on a very small proportion of what my office actually looks like, and you don't see the mess. You don't see the. It feels very like Wizard of Oz, like don't look at the man behind the curtains. It's like don't look at the mess that's in my cupboard behind me. We love PAX wardrobes from IKEA. Not sponsored, but yeah, I basically use this. My entire wall in my office is just PAX, and I hide my mess in the PAX, so no one can see how I actually live, which is great. Because sometimes, like it's one thing to keep your office like neat and tidy, but like I also want things to be on hand. I just don't want to have to see it all the time. Um, which is, I find a lot of artists get into that thing too, where it's like, I want it to be nice in here and comfortable and cozy, but I also can't put everything away at the end of the night. Because I might have to continue tomorrow, but I don't want to walk into like a mess in the morning either when I'm done my breakfast or my coffee or something. So I tend to keep things uh just like in there. So, if someone walks in or whatever, they're not like, "Oh my God, how do you live?" it's just it's just in there, and no one can see. I just know it's there. It's fine. Will I be doing a closet tour? No, no, I will not be. Please don't ask. It's enough that you know that it's there. So I find as well the pressure and it's very meditative. It's very calming. I find it very nice. Excuse me. Sorry, I just inhaled like my throat just got like really dry all of a sudden. Also, notice too, I'm not scared of moving and rotating my paper as I'm working. Like I adjust whatever I need to adjust to make sure that I can make things look like how I want to make, if that makes sense, right? So if I have to move the paper, that's fine. I will move the paper and I will adjust what I need to adjust. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to do I'll do some ovals. So I hope you guys have had a good weekend. I know for me, it's been very busy here, except for like the past, geez, since before Christmas, I'd say. And I think yesterday was the first day where there weren't a million things planned from the morning until the evening. And it was very nice. I don't know how it's been with you guys, but for me that's kind of, always trying to we're working on something at home or whatever the case may be. Like yesterday I was just able to chill, which is felt weird. I was talking to my husband about that. I was just like, it feels weird that we don't have really anything to do today. And he was like, mm-hmm. It's nice, but also odd because it's been such a long time since that's happened. Mm, yeah, I guess I'll do some more figure eights. I really like, I like the motion of doing the figure eights. I find it very, very smooth. Or figure eights or infinity symbol, I guess, depends on who you are. Basically, what I'm focusing on here is just like making sure I'm not just like crazy amounts of pressure the entire time. And I personally like like making sure that the center part of everything is like as is the thickest part, right? So I'm always working on that gradual pressure, max pressure releasing, and then kind of like that. That's always my goal, is to do it like that. So it's like I'm easing into it and then like lifting, because that's how I like to see my line of universal beauty. Cool. So I think, I mean, I could go on for warming up for a long time, but I think I'm good for now. I just wanted to make sure that I still could work, which is good. Looks like I still can. Love that for me. So, oh, thank you, Cleric of Chaos. I just saw your chat. I appreciate it. Okay, so I'm gonna do letter S through Z and the capital letters, the majuscules, if you will. I'm gonna zoom in as well so you can see what the heck I'm doing with the pen. All right, so the S. Okay, so I'm gonna reminder: ascender line, waistline, baseline, descender line. You can see through my paper here, and we're gonna need to do a reminder what the line of universal beauty is as well, which is basically like the downstroke here, but it curves in and curves out. So I think you can see where I'm going with this. I think. So that's the line of universal beauty, right? We're coming in, gradually pressing, releasing, turning out again. So the S is kind of like basically this. I know it doesn't really look much like an S, but that's kind of what it looks like very traditionally. Okay. Personally speaking, how I like to do mine is a little bit different to make sure that it's more legible for the modern eye. Although, I mean, I say that. I actually think I messed up the angle. Actually, hold on. My brain just did a little whoop. should be like this. Kind of like this. So ignore that one. So line of universal beauty, cross, and then coming up. And then I do like the C curve here. So when you read it in context with another word, or other letters rather, sorry, it's legible as an S, if that makes sense. Another version of this that I like to do, because this can get confusing with all the loops, like I just did here. My brain just went on vacation for like a second. Is I come in with a little loop here, line of universal beauty, but I actually push it out like this instead of keeping here. I actually do push it out to make it more look like an S. So and then I'll curve it this way. This is a bit more of a modern take on the S. I don't think this is actually really considered copperplate. It's just something that I do when I'm trying to write quickly, specifically for me. Okay, and this is also one of the things that I want people to understand for myself as well, is that I work live a lot, which means I have to work quickly. And efficiency is very important, which means legibility also needs to be important very fast. So for me, sometimes this guy, the modern eye, doesn't necessarily read this as an S. Number one. Number two, it sometimes can take too long to do this properly. Number three, because a lot of times when I'm working live, I'm actually engraving. And engraving quickly means usually monoline. And when I'm saying monoline, let me grab a pen. Let me grab a marker over here. When I'm saying monoline for me, it's there's no thickness change, right? Oh, sorry. There's no thickness change, which means this needs to look like an S right away without having the thicks and thins. And I find that this one, I find that this one here without having the shading here and here doesn't always read like an S if you're doing modern. If you're doing it monoline. So take this with context for myself. This is why I do this one a lot, is because even with if I have these thick lines here or not, this can still read like an S. So you can take that for what it is. So let me do that one more time. Let me do both of them. Okay, we got that first S, more traditional one. And then you have the other one, which I do more often. Oops, it's not as smooth as I would like it to be. There we go. This one. So this one and this one. So you can definitely tell there's a difference. And, you know, like I said, there's reasons why I choose this one over this one. All right, now we got our letter T. Our letter T. Also, I have a workbook that's on my website. If you go nielsenletters.com/shop, it's free to download, and you can look at my exemplars that are there. And it's like 30 pages of a downloadable workbook, with explanations and things like that too, which might be helpful. So in that I have two versions of the letter T, and I will do both of them now. So we have our line of universal beauty right here, and I kick it out, oops, kicking it out, a dot, little filled in dot here, and then I'm doing the hat on the top of the T. So it's an pressure and then the overturn, and then we're coming over here. So this, we have the line of universal beauty here, and we kind of have a little bit of it here, but more pushed out. So it's kind of like a sideways figure eight. Like if you continue the line, right? That's the shape I'm looking for up on the top here. The other one, I think actually I pulled this from Spencerian, but it can work with this too. So, a line of universal beauty. And if you remember the D, it's the same motion here when you do the letter D. It's this part to here, and then you stop here. This part, it's the same stem stroke basically on that second version of the T that I have in my workbook. Okay, up, down, over, and then we stop here. So again, it's kind of, we're looking at that same shape. This has that, but it's very large. This is like a sideways figure eight. So is this, right? Just on a smaller scale. And I do a smaller kind of hat on top of the T. So, which means I'm starting here, pulling down, whoops, pulling down, up, over, press down. So it's a little bit of a simpler one. This one looks a little more, this one looks a little fancier, in my opinion. This one looks a little less fancy, but can be very useful. Because sometimes if you want to, you can use this to go into, as your exit stroke, right? If you go up. Whereas this one, you don't really have that because you're ending over here. Versus this one, you're ending on the right side, which means you can go into the rest of the word if you want. That's why there's two versions on there. There are also, and I mentioned this last time, there's about a gajillion versions of every majuscule that I'm showing you. I'm just showing you one or two of the versions that I personally do. It would be, if you don't like these ones, that's totally fine. Or you want to like maybe be a little bit different. If you want to use a little something else, that's awesome. I would highly recommend looking them up. And by looking them up, if you go to IAMPF, the website, there are a ton of resources on there. So I would highly recommend looking there. There's going to be the Zinerian manual. Let me write that down on screen. Manual. Okay, take note of this Zinerian manual. You can find a really high definition version of this thing on IAMPF as well, or on archive.org. You can do there. It's free, and it is a very detailed book on engrosser script and a bunch of other ones in there. And you'll have really lovely letters and ligatures and all of that in there. It might give you some inspiration, and then you can maybe make your own. And anyway, something to think about. I am not the calligraphy police by any stretch of the imagination. If you want to go and look around for new inspiration, please don't let me stop you. I am merely a one person in the world, right? Okay. ST. We're looking at the letter U now. So the U as well, we're going to do that overturn. And we're doing the overturn until we touch the waistline. Okay. Then we have baseline and descender height. So we're doing this until we, right here, touching up, over, down to the baseline, and then up again till about here. And then this is the one place where I don't actually square this off. There will be some that do. I find it looks a little too heavy, personally speaking. So coming up, down, up again. There we go. So the overturn that's here, it is kind of going into the line of universal beauty, I would say. But I'm finding I'm connecting a little too low down. So let me look at this properly. There we go. That was better. Sorry about that. So we have their overturn going down, up again, and then pressure. And this is like the underturn, except we're not squaring it. We're just pressing, right? But that's basically, this is just this higher. It's higher up. So that's the U. So the V, if you did practice at all with the letter N, you'll recognize this as the right side of the letter N. It's the same shape. So if you remember the letter N, basically we're cutting off this part right here. That's your V. That's it. So the letter V and the letter N and the letter M, I find are difficult. And I think I mentioned this last time because the stem stroke here is not really on the 55. It's kind of more straight down, not fully, but it's not the same angle. It's your exit stroke that becomes this one is at the 55, not this one. So it's a little bit hard to get your brain around that if you're trying, because this letter took me a long time to figure out how to do, because I was always trying to do the thick stroke on the 55, which I found for me, when you have the V, for me, it felt like it was way too angled and it looked like it was falling forward. But if you put it a little straighter, if you adjust the angle to not be 55 here, if it's a little bit more up and down, and you make the exit stroke the one that's on the 55, it's a lot easier. It doesn't look so visually like off. This is very likely the incorrect way to do the V. I just visually, for me, this feels more balanced. So you can feel free to take this one with a grain of salt as well. But again, personally, for me, I prefer the visuals of this one. But it's very likely that this is not the right angle. It should probably be like on the 55 and then out. But I find this looks it leans a little too much for me. So I go a little bit more straight, and then I use the exit stroke as my 55, my little, ode to the 55 degree is the exit stroke, not the thick line. And then you can do whatever type of flourish to get into that afterwards, whatever you want. You can do like a little compound curve. You could do the overturn. You can do, one of these if you want. Whatever you want. It doesn't really matter as long as you can read this as a letter V. Sometimes it helps when the other letters are next to it. You can read that as victory. Very fast victory, but you get what I mean. So, and the W is going to be a similar thing, right? Because it's going to be two V's next to each other. So all the same spiel that I just said before will apply to the V, which is the downstroke is not on the 55 for me. The exit stroke is. And I find, again, because when this is on the 55, it leans too much and I find it looks visually very odd. Thankfully, we don't do many majuscules, very often, right? It's usually just proper nouns and beginning of sentences, in English anyways. But I find that looks a little more visually easy to do. And yeah, like in my handout, I have the entry stroke is this guy instead of this, and it doesn't really matter. You can choose whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. As you can tell, I'm very like whatever floats your boat in this. Like I'm gonna give you the like how do I put this? Like I'm gonna give you the best outline of how I choose to do things as possible. There's always going to be more information out there. There's always going to be people who are going to know more than me. There's always going to be that stuff. And I truly do encourage you to go and look up more people, take more classes if you can. I'm just giving you from my perspective how I would do something. So like that would be my little caveat of please go and like, learn from other people. Don't just learn from me. I'm not the only person in the world, Okay. So we have the X, and I have it. Actually, I think I may have. I don't do capital X as much. I more like do them small, because I often will write in French, and X's in French are much more common than they are in English. But not normally at the beginning of a word. It's usually at the end. So I think I may have mixed up where the shading goes, but I'm just looking at this now. It's very possible I did that wrong. I think it's supposed to be like this. And then this one is the light one. As I think I did it the other way. You know what? Let me look up a reference book. Give me a second. Let me look this up. Let me look at my trusty speedball handbook. Let me look up a capital U because my brain just kind of had or capital X rather. Oh, the one that's in here is totally different than how I'm doing it too. Unhelpful. I guess it doesn't really matter so much for the purposes of what we're doing. I guess not. Because the one I'm looking at is this guy. Right here. So, which is totally different from how I'm doing it. That's what I mean. There's so many options out there. I'm sure, you know what? I'll show you how to do both. How about that? I have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So it's basically the same shape, right? We are doing an overturn. We're doing an overturn right here. Coming back, pressing, and going over. It's a fun like curve, fun like little curl here. Then we have the right side, in which even though we're going down, we're not pressing. There's no pressure here because there's already a dark line here. You don't want to do two thick lines together because it's going to look really, 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 really visually heavy. So number one. The other one is basically we're swapping where we're putting the pressure. I'm sure someone at some point in time will maybe watch these videos and be like, she's dumb for not knowing which one's right. And you know what? Fair. I get it. So yeah, it's the same thing. This one has the thick part here on this side. This one has the pressure thick part on this side. As I'm looking at it, I think this is the right one. This is the one that's in my workbook. C'est la vie. It is what it is. I don't. But again, I think I'm almost positive that you're going to find both versions somewhere in the world. So I'm just one of the people who, this one will just be written down for all eternity. There you go. So let's do the letter Y. So we're going to go into that overturn. And the Y, you're going to remember it's kind of like the U, right? This is a very similar, or like the G. Very similar. Overturn, overturn coming up and down. Up here, again, I don't love to square this one off over here. Just going to a point and then I'm going to come over. So if you remember the G, it's basically the same, right? Like it's, sorry, by the same. It's the same from here down. It's the same. It's how you get here. This part is the part that changes. What's above the waistline. But this should be the same. So let's do that again. So we got that overturn. We're coming up, down to the baseline, up, over, and then we are pressing here. Right? And now we do the Z. So this one is a little different just for the fact that I like to do my overturns. I like to do them for the Z only. I like to do them where it goes below the waistline, right? I think I just like the way that looks because it's such a large letter. So I'm going to go here, overturn, up, and then all the way down to the baseline. Down here. Up, over, all the way down to the baseline. And then I'm just going to do the descender loop. I like the way this looks versus if I was just going to go here. I find that makes this really empty, so I like pulling it down a little. So if I find it just looks more visually even. So basically I'm starting about halfway up here to about halfway here, pulling down up over pressure, coming down to the baseline. Then I'm coming up a little bit like a hairline over. If you can see that, coming up a little bit, pressure, then coming back up, and I'm crossing right below the waistline. I'm coming up and over. If you see that. Also, now that we're looking really close, smearing my ink everywhere. This here is like she parallel, right? This is a nice exit stroke. It's about the same distance all the way through. Zoom out a little bit more. Let me do that one more time. Actually, that's a little too far. Let's go right about there. So I'm starting about half, up, over, up, down. There we go. That one was still better. This one, the angle messed up a little. Let me try that with actually me looking at it instead of looking at my screen. Yeah, because I'm at the edge of my paper. Let me get a fresh one. Let me get a fresh one so I'm not so cramped. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. That's a better one. And then there is the other one that I have there. If you don't like this one and you want it to look a little bit more like how Z looks like when it's just in block letters, you can also do this, which is one that I will use sometimes. So basically you're starting here, going across, pressure, down, up, and then I'll do a little crossbar. So you're going right across. I do a little loop there, going right across the ascender height, pressure. And this is also not at that 55, okay? Like clearly, right? You can kind of see that that's not at the 55 degree. It's kind of more, is it more angled? I guess it would be more angled, I suppose. But I am still doing the no pressure to releasing the pressure. And then I'm doing the little crossbar right on the waistline. I personally prefer this one, but sometimes whatever you're writing calls for this guy. So I like this one better. You can do this one too. That's fine. So let's do now, congratulations everyone. If you've watched all of these, you've done the whole alphabet. The minuscules and the majuscules. I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of myself, I guess, too, for doing it all. Okay. So we are going to do, let's do all the majuscules first. So A. B. C. D. Got the F. G. H. I. J. K. L. M. N. O. P. Q. R. S. T. U. V. W. X. Oops. Y. And Z. So there we go. We have our whole majuscule alphabet right in here. And I'll do, let me see. Let me do the minuscules as well. So we have them all on one page. How about that? There we go. So we have our minuscules and our majuscules, whoop, all up on the same page. They all won't all fit in the same shot though. There. So you got the minuscules, you got the majuscules. Also, I realized as well that I need to mention this all the time is that when I am writing, I know that I can sometimes write pretty quickly. This is sometimes because I get into a bit of a rhythm and then I keep going. But if you are new, if you are trying to learn, if you are trying to perfect something, you can take a slower time than what I just did. Because also as well, right, I'm also trying to go a little bit more efficiently when I'm working here on the stream, because I want to make sure that I get everything in while there are people here and then they can see things, and that is good. As well. So again, you have to. I think something that not everyone thinks of too is that you have to think of the work in context of what's happening as well. So if I was, for example, taking my time today and learning something new, or in like a new hand or something along those lines, I would be working much slower. I'd be analyzing my work a little bit faster, or a little bit more. I'd be really trying to pay attention to the details. So I wouldn't be going as fast as I just did, just banging this out, right? But yeah, just something to keep in mind when you are learning something or when you're doing something for the first time. That when you're watching someone who is maybe more practiced at it, maybe not like perfect, but someone who's more here, let me just do it this way. When you're watching someone who's more practiced at it, don't compare yourself to that, please and thank you. Because if you compare yourself to that, you're gonna feel kind of crappy. Because maybe you can't do it as quickly or you can't do it as efficiently or whatever the case may be. But that would be my suggestion. I think that's all for today. I will let you know for next time. We're going to be playing, now that we know all the basics, we've done the alphabet, so we're going to start playing a little bit with variations of ratio of the height versus the ascender and the descender and the whole thing. Messing with the baseline a little bit. What can that give you? Kind of figuring out how to develop a little bit of a different look that you like versus like something else. Just to give you a bit of a base of that. Because I think that is something that people forget when you're learning this, is that you can mess with that stuff. It's fine. And I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can mess with things, just so you can maybe make something a little bit different if you want to play with something, or if you want to try something out. And then the last one, so lesson 10 is February 29th, which is this Thursday, right? 29th. It is this Thursday. It is I guess it's the leap year that we'll be doing this on. And then lesson 11th will be March 4th, which is going to be the wrap up, full overview of what we've done. And I'm going to be running like a Q&A that day as well. So basically all week this week on my Instagram, I'm going to be like having the little thing where you can be like, ask me a question or whatever, ask me anything. I'm just gonna be collecting questions from there. If I get none, that's also fine. But if I get some during the week, I'll be answering that on the last one. Because you never know what people want to have questions about. So that's good. I think that's it. There we go. I'll mention it again if this is your first time here. Hi, hello, welcome. I have a public Discord that I run that has a bunch of calligraphers in it from all over the place. And in that, there is a private channel for people who, if they want to submit homework, they can. I'm limiting it to 1 page just per person, like per week, if they want to do that. So then I can go in and I can make some notes on things. I try and be fair and like point out the good stuff, point out the things that maybe a little bit more focus on, but just something to keep in mind. If you want to do that, that's no problem. If you're on Twitch watching this, it'll be in the About section, the link directly to the Discord. If you're on YouTube watching this, hi YouTube, it's going to be in the description below. as well as the link to the resources that I maybe have mentioned, or just directly to my website, to my shop, where there's a few free downloads in there too, which can possibly help you, hopefully, on your calligraphy journey. I think that's it. Yeah, I think we're done. I think we're done. We're done. That wasn't too long. It was just an hour, which we love. I love like an efficient stream. Nothing too crazy. We're not overwhelming anyone. And I hope that you guys have a good evening, and I will see you on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if not, that's okay too. You can watch the replay on YouTube. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening.